So in this video we're going to have a look at how to set up a Zap. Nice and simple, nice and basic. We're going to do what's called a trigger, and then we're going to do what's called an action. Just to show you how it works and what the different types of things that you could potentially do. So when you come into Zapier, you're going to be presented with this screen. If you've never set up a Zap before, it's going to have some recommended workflows here that are just sort of generic ones. Once you start setting some up, it'll start linking together the types of apps that you use and telling you to try the different things. So what we want is the orange button here which says create a Zap. Okay, and as you can see, the first thing you're going to be presented with is a trigger. So what we're looking here is, as you can see, it says a trigger that starts your Zap. So when something happens within one of your applications, it might be that a Google form has got a new response. It might be that you received an email, or somebody's added a new file into a Google Drive folder or a Dropbox folder. Somebody signed up on Eventbrite. Somebody's paid an invoice in Xero, or whatever it might be. Something happens in an application, and then from there you do something. So, for example, if you get a new client signed up and you fill a form in for somebody who was wanting some more information on one of your products or something like that, you might then take their information and send them an email with those products. As a very simple process that might happen. You might get an inquiry and then somebody takes the information and does something with it manually. Or you might get a new client and then you set them up a Dropbox folder with all different files that you provide for all your clients in there, and you manually create that and upload the files each time. So what we're looking at doing here is we're looking at automating that process, taking it away from a human and just allowing the computer, allowing Zapier in this process to do it all for us. So think of things where events happen in your applications and you do something with that information, and we can probably look at how we can create an automation for it in Zapier. All we're going to have a look at doing at the moment, let's say we're going to add a Google Sheet. Okay, now what it was going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to choose the event that you want to happen within the Google Sheet to trigger this automation. So what that means is, let's say a new row is added, or there's a new spreadsheet, or an updated spreadsheet row, worksheet. It'll give you a list of things which you can choose as your event. So what this means is we've got Google Sheets, and now it's asking us, well, what is the actual trigger? What needs to happen for this to start? So we're going to say new spreadsheet row. From here, you choose the account. If you've never connected your account, then you'll need to connect it, but once it's done, and you can connect as many accounts as you like. And then it's going to ask us for which spreadsheet we want. So we've got the event spreadsheet row, but we need to tell it which spreadsheet we want that from. Now we've got that example, well, I've just created an example one earlier, but now we have that in there, we need to choose which worksheet is going to be required. Okay, so if we come to the actual spreadsheet, which we have, you'll see down at the bottom, you've got your different worksheets within this sheet. So you can obviously have multiple like this. What we're looking for is which one do we want to actually use to trigger the automation. So if you come back to here, we know that this one is called form responses 1. So we'll choose that one. Click continue, and now it's going to ask us to test it. So what we want to do here is pull the information out that we have in there so we can use it in the rest of the Zap as a test. So if you've got no information in there, put some in the right format that you'd want to use and pull it out. So as you can see, if you've got multiple, there'll be multiple rows that you can pull here, so you can use whichever example you'd want. We've only got the one, and as you can see, it's pulled out all the different columns and all the different information. So now we can continue and want to do something with that information. Now you can set up as many of these actions as you want, but we're just going to do one for now, just to keep it nice and simple. But you might have a few things. If it's a new client, it might be that you're setting up multiple different uploading multiple files into one Google Drive, and you're renaming them, and you're sharing them, and you're sending an email, and you're adding their information to Xero, and you might be subscribing them to your MailChimp or whatever it might be. So there might be multiple different actions you want to process with this one trigger, and how many you want, you just keep clicking the add and putting new ones in. So what we want to do is choose what we want to happen. So we're just going to go with a Gmail, for example. Now, as we needed the event which triggered the application, we need an event to happen, an action event if you like, instead of a trigger event. So if you pull up the list, and these will be different for each application obviously, it'll tell you what you can do with that application. So we're going to choose just send an email. Again, you need to sign in with your account. If you've already done it, it'll just be in the list. Now we need to put 2. Now what you can do in here, so this is who the email is going to go to. So what you can do in these little boxes is if you click on them, as you see, it brings up all the information from the spreadsheet. And any actions that you've put previous to this block, as you can see, it's sort of done in blocks. We've got the trigger block, the action block. If you add a new action block, they'll all be separated in individual blocks. Anything that comes above this block, you can also use the information from there. So if you create a file, for example, from the information in the spreadsheet, you can then take that file information and include it in your email. So if you click on here, everything from the previous blocks will come up. At the moment, we just want to choose the email to put into there. So every time that we put a new row in this spreadsheet, it's going to pick up the email from here, and it's going to use it as the email where we want to send the email to. There's a few other things as well. We know we can CC, BCC, we can choose who it comes from, a name, all that sort of stuff. If you've got a different reply email, let's say the replies need to go to another member of your team or something like that, you can specify. But we don't need to do any of that. What we do need to do is we need a subject and a body. Okay, so we'll just put test in there for now, but you just need to put something in, and then in the body, you can write whatever you'd like. Okay, and we can include any of the information from here. So you see how I've put Ed? What we can do instead is we can click on here. Now, one thing I will mention here is, it won't go into too much detail, but it says Ed Brunt. You might just want to say Ed because that's how people send emails these days. So what we would need to do before is add a little block in here. Choose the format option. Go on text. Transform. So you've got a few different things. You can capitalize, you convert to different HTMLs, or extract a number. What we want to do is just split the text. Okay, so the input of this is going to be from this trigger, is going to be the full name. The separator will automatically choose space, but you might want it as a comma or something like that. We're just going to leave it blank because it's the space we want to do that from. If we click continue and then test and review, we should see it come out the other end as split text. So look, we've got Ed. One thing to notice actually is it's going to ask us which part of the information we want. The default is first, but you can choose second, last, second to last. You can choose what part of the information that you want. We can choose all is individual line items or separate fields, so we can pull all the information out as well. At the moment, we just want Ed, so we're just going to continue with that. Now, when you come into here, you're going to be able to see a new thing for us to use. So, as I said, all the blocks that you have previous to this block are going to appear in your little actions. Okay, so we've got the new spreadsheet row, which we've got here, and then we've got the text formatted by Zapier, which we've got here, and I can use Ed. Okay, if you've got any, as I said, if you've got any like documents or anything that you've created as well by doing this process, we could add them in here and share them with them and all that sort of stuff, but I'll just leave it as now, as it is for now. If you want to use HTML, you can use HTML and you can make the emails look more fancy. Again, we're trying to keep this simple for now, so we'll just leave it as plain. We go continue, and you can test and review. If you already, one thing probably to notice is if we already have some documents that are hosted anywhere on sort of Google Drive or just a URL or anything like that, we can input that into there and we can attach that as an attachment to this email as well. When you go to test and review, it'll send an email through. I'll do that now because that email will not work, but what we can do is we can publish the Zap, publish and turn on, and all that'll be working. So every time a new row gets added to this spreadsheet on Google Drive, this process is going to trigger and it's going to pull through the information, pull us out, separate the name, and send an email to whoever we've put in. I hope that helps. If you get stuck or you have any questions, please just leave a comment in the box. Cheers.